Something that I have also been working on these past couple of weeks that have contributed to why I feel like I haven't made a lot of progress on my other projects, and that is because I am designing. Hey everyone, it's Natalie, also known as Nitty Natty. Welcome to episode 247 of the Love and Stitches podcast. Apologies for the totally uninspiring background. I have tried to jazz it up by bringing in a few friends, like my little alpaca here that was a gift from my friend Deb. Oh gosh, I can't remember his name. I think it's Wyatt. And then also my adorable little horse that Kent got me in Mexico when we were in Big Bend, Texas. But yeah, I know that doesn't really do much. We are actually in Boston, Massachusetts right now, and I know you just have to believe me because you can't see anything here, but currently I am in a hotel parking lot, and that's not very exciting. Maybe I'll take a thumbnail picture for this podcast when we're in downtown tomorrow to show you that I actually really am there. I really could be anywhere, but I am in Massachusetts. I promise you that. So I promise to make up for things with the content today. I have a new project to show you. I have some projects that I'm planning. We've been to 3 states again this week, so I have lots to share in the life segment. There's lots to talk about today. I'm also going to be talking about how my knitting plans went the last week, how I'm adjusting them because they did not go so well. Lots to get into. But first, today's video is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out or managing a growing brand, Squarespace makes it super easy to create your own website, engage with your audience, and sell products from physical items all the way to content, all in one place and all on your own terms. I'll be sharing more about how I use Squarespace later on in the episode. For now, let's dive right in. Last week I shared my project plans, and the first few projects here are basically semi-fails. I didn't do exactly what I planned to do, as in I didn't knit as much in the day as I had hoped I would, but honestly, I was really reaching with my plans last week. So as I go through each of these projects, I'm going to sort of share a little bit about what I planned, what I actually did, and how I've modified from there. That's the best thing about plans, is they are just markers, and I like to have my plans be flexible and work with me, and I really didn't make them super realistic here. I also made some mistakes, so why don't we start actually with the one that I made the biggest mistake on, with the plans, not the project itself. Hang on. The other thing about plans that I just have to note is when I do have plans, even if I don't reach my goal that I wrote down, I still feel like I do make way more progress and do way more knitting than if I didn't have the plans at all. So it's still a semi-success in my book. So first up is my Qiviut Musselburgh Hat. This Qiviut yarn is just getting softer and fuzzier and kind of like, not felting, but like the stitch definition is kind of closing up in a positive way, where it's just looking nicer and nicer as I get further away from it. Also, because I struggled with knitting with it, I think I'm appreciating it more as I'm just being able to like touch it and feel it, because it is so soft and warm. I got this in Alaska at Cabin Fever, and that tour just went live this past Saturday. So if you want to learn more about Qiviut from the wonderful Terry, who works at the shop, watch that episode. She shares a lot of really cool facts about it. Now I am working through my yak yarn. I forgot to move my marker this week at the beginning of the week, but I was pretty much just down here, and I've done about 5.5 inches. You can really start to see now the pink kind of like striating through here. This yarn I also got in Alaska from a different shop called, what was it called again? I think it was called Polychrome Fibers. The person who owns the shop is also the dyer of Polychrome Fibers, and that's the yarn that I have. And this is a yak, merino, and nylon blend. Yes, so still very much a luxury fiber. This is my most luxurious hat that I will probably ever make, and it is wonderful. So let's start with a success. My goal was to do 1 inch or about 10 rounds per day. My ultimate goal was to finish this by the end of October. Today's actually Saturday. I'm recording a day earlier than I normally do. I normally record on Sundays, but we've got a lot of stuff coming up tomorrow, so I knew I needed to do this today. So I have today and 2 more days left in the month. Today's the 28th. But I've already done my 10 rounds for the day. So essentially, I think 10 rounds per day, I was successful 6 out of 7 days this week. So I successfully did 10 rounds a day 6 times, and I missed 1 day. So I would really call that overall a success. Where I thought I would be now is moving on to the crown, but here's what happened. I somehow really goofed up this math. So originally I had on here, and I've got like purple pen now scribbled over all of my notes from last week. I needed to do 6.5 inches plus the crown. So I've got about 6 inches now. If I was correct, I would only have another 1/2 inch to do, and then I would need to do the crown. So even though I'm off, a little bit behind, I would have been able to like catch up. I could have finished a 1/2 inch tonight, and then I would have had Sunday and Monday to complete the crown. I could have done that, but I'm not going to be able to do that because somehow I've done the math totally wrong, and I completely forgot that the brim of the hat is another 6 inches. I don't even know how I did this. Like, in my head, I think I was thinking that the brim was 3 inches. And I can see where I got that from because a 6-inch brim folded up is 3 inches on each side. So I just like missed half of it, right? But somehow then I missed a whole other 3 inches here somewhere. Like I just completely forgot to add in the brim at all. And all I thought about was like the 2 halves of the hat. That's where I got last week 6.5 inches. What the heck? How did I totally miss that? I don't know. I haven't done a Musselburgh hat for myself in a while, and I like a brim, a fold-up brim. I think at least the last one I did was for Kent for sure. And he doesn't do a fold-up brim, so maybe that's where I just totally missed this. But essentially, instead of 6.5 inches plus a crown, I really had 12.5 inches plus a crown to do. So where I'm at right now, so I was like, okay, that's too confusing. Let me just like start fresh. What do I have left to do right here? So I have another 6.5 inches of this yak to do because all this 6 inches is going to fold like this and then fold up like this. So that's all brim. So I still have a whole nother hat to make right now. I have basically all of this to make on the other side. So I have 6.5 inches plus the crown to do, and I've kind of decided that I'm going to prioritize this project over some of the other things that I'm about to show. So if I really ramp this up, could I double my production, my 10 rounds per day? Could I double that over the next few days? If I can do 20 rounds per day for the next 3 days, I will get 6 inches done, and I can probably push that up to another 1/2 inch. And then maybe I could do the crown. So then okay, so this is not counting today. Maybe tonight I can do a 1/2 inch. Then I could do 20 rounds per day for 3 days. I think that will work. So let's say tonight I do a 1/2 inch. I only have 6 inches left to do. 10 rounds equals an inch. So then tomorrow on the 29th, I will do 20 rounds, so that's 2 inches. And then on the 30th, I'll do 20 rounds, another 2 inches. That's the end of September. I didn't make my goal, but that's okay. On October 1st, I can do another 20 rounds. That's 6 inches. So then I'm done with the body. And then the next day I can do the crown, maybe. I don't really know why I think I'm going to be able to do all this extra knitting, but actually I might be able to because I've been working on 2 other projects. I have a secret one to show you. So that might be possible. So that's my next push goal. So if I'm successful with that, I will finish this hat on October 2nd instead of September 30th. So a couple of days later than I planned, but I think still pretty good. Tomorrow, I feel pretty confident I can do 20 rounds. We are going into Boston and we're going to be filming a yarn store tour. Then I'm going to be hanging out with people. I will have some time in an Uber in the morning, on the train in the afternoon, and then some time tomorrow night just to be hanging out. So I think that's going to be successful. Monday, we're going to be walking around downtown Boston. So actually, it might not be practical to bring this. I might need to bring a sock instead. So I might have to adjust that. But this is my initial plan. I don't know if that's interesting to share or not. You know, it obviously doesn't matter if I finish these projects by the end of the month or whatnot, or by my arbitrary goals. But for me, it is nice. It is a good feeling to be working through and trying to complete these projects. I just have too many things going on right now. I really, really want to simplify it because I want to have this experience of working through some other projects in October. And my mind lately, I've been forgetting a lot of things. I don't even know where to set this down right now. And I've been forgetting a lot of things. I've been feeling like still pretty overwhelmed with a lot of how fast we're traveling. And so knitting is where I can simplify things, and I need to do that. So this week, it's probably going to look like prioritizing a hat, a very simple project, over my next one that I have. Let me try to keep this one shorter, or I'm going to get you bored with all of the project planning talk. Okay, the endless summer sock. This was my other priority for this week. Again, I had a goal of finishing the pair of socks. I don't know how I thought I was going to do this. I wanted to finish the pair of socks by the end of September. Again, today is the 28th. There's only 2 more. It's also like 7:15 in the evening. So basically today is over. But there's 2 more days left in the month. I have finished one sock aside from grafting it. It's looking really pretty, isn't it? So I've done a pretty good job. I've made a lot of progress on here. Actually, I don't know where I was before. I think I had just made it through. Let me get that focused. I think I had just made it through the heel. So I've done an entire foot. Not bad with, in addition to the hat. But I had planned to finish this first sock and knit a whole nother sock. Now I only have 2 days left. I don't think that's going to happen. So I am actually going to be putting a pause on this project and coming back to it later on. And that's okay. I'm not totally happy with that, but I will accept it so that I can get some other things cleared off. Sometimes taking things off your plate, or, I'm not really going to be finishing the project, but I can still take it off my plate, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I can still take it off my to-do list, kind of pull it out of my, the clutter in my mind, and that will feel better. Oh, now I feel bad. I don't mean to call this project clutter. I just mean I have too many projects going on. Let me tell you a few things about this sock to redeem myself. I love how this is coming out. So this is a special membership color from 316 Dye Studio out of Kansas. Jenny did an event with my members, and she showed us how she does her, what does she call it? Botanical, natural dyeing, natural eco printing. That's what she calls it, eco printing, which is not this. But she showed us that. And then she also dyed this special colorway for us on a sock blank, and it's so pretty. And actually, if I had more knitting to do, this actually continues into one more color. So it gets pinker and pinker. I chose not to go into the contrast color again because I really wanted to see the pink. The contrast is really fun, but I actually still have a lot of yarn left. So I need to weigh this later on. I might even be able to do a pair of shorties with this one. So this one will go from pink and then it ends with orange. So there's a whole nother color, but of course I can't just keep going on the foot because it will be too long. So that's really it for this sock. I did, again, I made a lot more progress on it than if I didn't have it as a priority, but I certainly did not make it through my goal as planned. And so this one's just going to take a little nap, and I will come back to it hopefully in a few weeks once I've cleared a few things off the needles. Now I get to show you something new, something that I have also been working on these past couple of weeks that have contributed to why I feel like I haven't made a lot of progress on my other projects. And that is because I am designing. And it has been over a year since I've released a design. And even that design, it had been like a year since I released a previous design. It's been a struggle for me to get into designing in the past couple of years, even though I really, really want to. And I have ideas, but it's just a whole nother level of knitting and crochet. Designing, people who are designers full time, I don't know how you do it because it really can sometimes take the joy out of knitting and crochet. And for me, I have different elements that I'm already working on with making videos and running my membership. And then now with the travel, that has just made it extra hard for me to go back and to design. But I wanted to put out something new this year. And so this is kind of like a combination announcement. If you saw Tuesday's video, actually, I put out an interview and a special announcement. You already know this, but just in case you haven't seen it, I'm going to share a little bit of the details. So, I am collaborating with the lovely women of Coven Collective. They are 4 women in, let's see, why can't I think of it? Natalie, Spokane, in Spokane, Washington. And like, I think some of them live across the border in Idaho, but they're like all in the Spokane area, and they all work together to dye yarn, to make bags, to make stitch markers. They're super cool people. And we got together when they were at Flock and I was at Flock in Seattle, and we recorded a video together. I got to interview them and learn kind of how they make it work with 4 people living in different places, all coming together as a collective and creating these beautiful things. Their specialty really is creating these kits. And so I've been wanting to work with them for a little while now, and we decided together that we would make a sock kit. I would make the pattern. They've made this beautiful yarn bag I'm going to show you in just a second. And we would put that together and bring back my Sockmas make along this year. So if you participated in Sock Week, it's very similar, except that Sockmas is a lot more chill. There's only one like special thing, or at least one. It comes from one person. So there's just Coven Collective. They have the sock yarn, they have a bag, a charm that comes with it. It all comes in a kit together. So you don't have to be running around to different shops to find things. That's fun too, but it's a lot more chill. So just one sponsor. And then I've also designed a pattern for it this year. That's why I really wanted to work hard to get my pattern back out. And then the other more chill element about Sockmas is that it's a 3-week-long make-along. So we start the day after Thanksgiving, and then we end like about a week or so before Christmas. And I do want to note that this is not, even though it's called Sockmas, it's not just for Christmas. Our theme is not Christmas at all. It's winter, but it's a cute play on words. So essentially I'm saying, don't worry, it's not like tied exactly to Christmas if you don't celebrate Christmas or if you don't celebrate any holidays. This is very much a winter theme, and I want everyone to feel like they can participate. So I would love to show you the sock that I am working on. We are still testing it, so I'm still making some modifications. This is going to come out along with the kit on October 11th, which is a Friday. I think we're doing noon Pacific time. So here she is. So the inspiration came from the yarn, which we are kind of calling like Winter Magic. Actually, it came from a photo. Winter Magic. And this yarn is super pretty. It's dyed by Coven Collective. Here's what it looks like in the stockinette. Oop, there we go. So very wintry. And then we did 2 contrast colors because I wanted to add in some color work. And then Casey, one of the dyers of Coven Collective, we were together, or how did this happen? We were like talking on the phone or something. And I had already been thinking about, I want to add beads, I think, to this. I think that'd be fun. And then she brought it up and she's like, what if we did beads? And I'm like, sold. I want to do beads. I think that would be so fun to add to the magic-y, wintry element of this. And so that's what we did. So I don't want to talk too long about this pattern. I'm really, really excited about it. I'm doing some new things with color work to try to really help want it be like an easier color work pattern. In my pattern, I really tried to make sure that you don't have to do any long floats. So the longest float in this chart is 6 stitches. You do not have to catch a 6-stitch float when you're doing fingering weight yarn. So no extra catching here. I also included a lot of tutorials in this pattern about how to do the beads, etc. Then something new that I've tried is this. This is a little ribbed element where you hold the 2 yarns together. What this does is it creates extra stretch in the color work. And if you're doing magic loop, it means that you're going to have your 2 yarns held together and carried from one needle to the next so that you do not have to strand across, whoa, you do not have to strand, excuse me, across here ever. Ever. It's going to look a little different in the final design because with my testers, we're discovering we need a few more stitches here. So I'm about to make a whole nother sock, which is also taking up some of my other project knitting time, but now I can tell you about it because it's revealed. So I'm so excited. Oh, and look, I decided to include some faux cabling in the rib. So I just really like this pattern. It's been really fun to make. It's been really a good challenge for me to get back into designing. So the pattern will be released on October 11th, as will the kit. So it comes with the yarn. Hold on, let me show you. I've got 2 kits in here because I wanted to be able to have a pretty skein to show you. So it comes with the yarn. It comes with a little snowflake charm. Hold on there now. A little snowflake charm. There you go. And it has one of those clasps that you can use for like a progress keeper or on your knitting needles. The kit also comes with the 2 contrast colors, 20-gram minis that are really nice and contrasting. And then it comes with this fabulous bag. Actually, you can choose if you want to just do yarn, you can just do yarn. But you can get the full kit, which you can get this really awesome bag that's like super matchy and beautiful. It's got pockets. They have their fun little Coven Collective fabric inside, 2 little pockets. Also, if you order a kit, if you're one of like the first couple hundred, you will also get some beads to go with it because you need about 60 beads for the largest size, which is like not a ton. Like if you have leftover beads from something, that should be plenty. But if you go out and buy like a tube of beads, you get way more than 60. So we wanted to include the beads in the kit for that. There's also a really cute little pouch that you can add on if you want to. I'm getting mine in the mail soon. But yeah, super, super fun. If you are like, okay, I want to participate in Sockmas, but I can't do, you know, the kit or the pattern, is totally fine. You can also just make socks with anything you have, something in your stash, a different pattern. The whole make along is just about making socks, but we wanted to offer something special as well. And that's why we've got both the pattern and the kit. Oh, one more thing. The kit does not come with the pattern. The pattern you can get on Ravelry from my Ravelry store. So if you're like, love the yarn, I'm not a huge fan of the color work and the beads, don't worry, I'm not going to be offended at all. You can do whatever pattern floats your boat, whatever fits your foot, that's totally fine. So I'll probably share even more about Sockmas as we get closer. The actual Sockmas make along again doesn't start until the day after Thanksgiving. So we have the kits going live, so you've got plenty of time to order them and get them in time for some November, December making, especially because Thanksgiving is extremely late this year. It's like almost the last day, or American Thanksgiving is almost the last day of November. So yeah, it's coming up really late. Anyway, that's all for that project. I will be continuing to work on those socks. Let me know if it's interesting to hear about design stuff or not, because I know that's a little bit different than normal project content, but especially with something like that I've been holding in for a little while, I'm just really excited to share it. This past weekend, I was in Pennsylvania with my friend Bree, who is the dyer of the Little Wolf Knits, and I picked up my October Advent from her. So this is the big motivator for me to get these other projects finished and why I wanted to finish them by October. And of course, I've already shared that I'm not going to be doing that, but I still want to start on October 1st with this lovely Advent and make a blanket. I almost said baby blanket. The pattern is called the Crochet Advent Baby Blanket by Lucienne Crochet, but this one's actually going to be for Kent, and it's just going to be a cute little lap blanket. So I thought I would share with you the Advent, not like the yarns or anything, but the extra bag that came with it. So if you did get this Beetlejuice Advent calendar from the Little Wolf Knits and yours hasn't come yet, and you don't want to see it, then look away. Again, I'm not showing yarns. I'm just showing like how it's packaged, and then I'm showing the bag. But there is a potential that you will be able to see the name of the colorway because the tags are visible. Okay, so you've been warned to look away. So here's what it looks like, all in this nice little package. I mean, not super exciting. Like, you can see they're all bagged up, which I love and appreciate. Okay, I'm putting that away. Let me open this, and I'm gonna show you the project bag. I think this was an optional thing that you could get with it, and it's so fun. Actually, I am gonna take it out because I want to get this ready. So this bag is from the Toasty Hen. So Brianna collaborated with, wait, where did the thing just go? Oh, here we go. With the Toasty Hen. Cute. And look at this fabric. It's perfect for Beetlejuice. So it's a nice, like, medium-sized bag, head for comparison. So it will probably fit my project. Oh, it's green on the inside. Cool. It will probably fit my project like for a third to a half of the time because I'm making a blanket, and then I'll have to like switch to something else, but that's okay. And look at this. Ready? Oh my goodness. Man, that's some strong ribbon. Look at the ribbon. It is just perfect. Okay, do you want to see the other extras? Good. And I'm not opening the full skein because I think that's like a last day thing, but I want to open up these. So Brie also creates these candles. This one is called Pumpkin Spice. Let's see. Oh yeah, that smells like pumpkin spice. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. Okay, we're gonna have to have that out later. Let's see, what else did we get in here? I think a stitch marker. It looks like a stripy little stitch marker, and that's kind of tinted green. I wonder if it glows in the dark. That is very possible. And then some tea. I like that mint tea. So I think that's all of the little extras that I got. I did get the full skein, and then there are 30 minis in here. So my plan is to make this blanket for the third time. This is the Crochet Advent Baby Blanket modified, slightly modified by Lucienne Crochet. This is the one I made for Toaster. I did it last summer, no, 2 summers ago, with a Pokemon Advent from Fangirl Fibers. And I made a couple modifications. So the first thing that I did is I shortened the cast on. I think I cast on like 30 something fewer stitches, and I have notes on my project page on how I did it. I was just looking back at it to see. So I did fewer stitches. I don't know why though. I think because my gauge is bigger. I went for the hook that was recommended, but it gave me a bigger gauge, so I just didn't want to run out of yarn, basically. So I did fewer stitches, and then instead of there's a main color round, like a row in between each color stripe, I just eliminated that and just went straight from one color to the next. So the original pattern is made for a 24 mini skein Advent with one skein of like a solid color in between, and it looks really, really great. And all the ones that I've made, I've not done the main skein in between. So I wanted to make sure I could make it nice and long. And then this is 31 colors. So when I made this one, I had a lot of leftover yarn. I think I had 4 to 5 grams per color. So then I made another one for myself with one of my advents from December of last year for my homespun house one, and I still did the same stitch count. This time I only had 24 colors, so I ended up doing 5 rows of each color instead of 4 like I did in this blanket. And that used up a lot more yarn, so that was good. I can't remember exactly how much I had left over, but I want to say closer to 2 grams rather than 4 or 5. So with this one, I have 30 colors instead of 24. And I want to make this as big as possible. Like, I want to use as much of the yarn as possible. This is going to be for Kent. Again, it's still only going to be a lap blanket. There's only so much I can do with that much yarn. So I'm trying to figure out how to do this. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to go back to the 4 rows of color, just like this one, because this one had 31, but I am going to go back to the original stitch count. So you can see it's not super wide, but wide enough to like cover your legs, right? So, oh, you know what? That's what I'm trying to decide. Do I want to make it wider or do I want to make it longer? Because I don't think I can really do both without doing half rows. I can either make it wider and do 4 rows per color, or the same width and do 5 rows per color. So then it will be kind of long and skinny and weird. I think I need to take this in and like show it to Kent and see what he thinks, because I want something that looks proportionate, right? I don't want it to look way out of proportion. I want it to be functional. So that's something I'm trying to figure out so that hopefully I can get this thing cast on. I might actually cast it on Monday night on the 30th because I'll have some time rather than Tuesday when it's going to be a busy day. We'll see, but hopefully I have at least a few stripes to show you next week. Ideally, I'll be working on this daily. Once I have it started and set up, it's like not a hard thing to just work through my 4 or 5 rounds per day. And I'm really, really excited to have a crochet project back on the hook because it has been a while. I've been craving some crochet. I find it so comforting. And yeah, I really just want to get started now. Oh my gosh, the colors look so fun. I can kind of see them through here. Okay, I'm going to put this away. Let's get into the next segment. Thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring today's podcast. Squarespace is how I built nittynatty.com, and I have been loving it for well over a year. They have just come out with a new feature called Design Intelligence that is super cool. Design Intelligence uses cutting-edge AI technology to build a beautiful website tailored to your specific needs. You can choose your site's personality and select a color scheme. Basically, you can build your website in just a few clicks. But that's not all. If you're a seller of anything from patterns to yarn to courses, it's super easy to get set up with Squarespace payments. Customers now have even more ways to pay with popular options like Klarna, ACH Direct Debit, Apple Pay, Afterpay, and ClearPay. Even if you're like, okay, no, that is all too much. I just need a simple homepage to direct people to my products. Squarespace has your back. They've got dozens of easy-to-use templates to help you get started right away. I love Squarespace, and I think you will too. So if you're ready to check it out, head to squarespace.com/nittynatty and use code nittynatty to get 10% off your first website or domain. Thank you again to Squarespace for supporting this channel, and now back to the episode. This weekend, we had the loveliest time in Pennsylvania. So as I mentioned before, we were at Brianna's house, the Little Wolf Knits, and Brianna's husband, Michael, and my husband, Kent, are good friends. Brianna and I are good friends. So we just really got to enjoy the weekend together, relax, and just do some things. But I think the person who enjoyed the weekend the most was Toaster. He just loves being at somebody's house. He gets to relax so much. There were several times that he got himself cuddled under Brianna's hand knit blankets. Yeah, he had a really great time. So that was fantastic. Definitely a refresh and a reset that we really needed before getting into another week where we're in 3 states, filming 3 tours, doing this kind of busy sprint up until Rhinebeck. So that takes us into our 41st fourth state. We went to Rhode Island this week. It was my first time, and I believe Kent and Toaster, yeah, definitely Toasters, but Kent's first time in Rhode Island. Really, we're so excited to like be in New England and just experience an area of the country we have just not been in at all. Even though we were living in New York City, we didn't have a car. We did not get to explore the surrounding states at all. So this is totally new territory for us, and it's been really great so far. So the first thing we did in Rhode Island is we drove around Newport, beautiful town right on the water, and it's a place where there's all these historical mansions and homes. Like you can pay to go inside them and take tours. We did not do that. We just went really early one morning when the weather was kind of not the greatest. Like it was cloudy and a little misty. There was hardly anyone on the road. We just got to drive around and just like look at all the houses. So some of the places people live in, some of them nobody lives in anymore, and they're just historic homes. But it was really cool to see, and we got to also just see the ocean, and it was beautiful. That was a really wonderful way to start out Rhode Island. But there's so much more to Rhode Island than Newport, as a lot of the people that live there were telling us. So our next stop was at Skein Yarn Shop in East Greenwich. We spent the entire day there. So we started out filming a tour at the shop with Lori, the owner, and Justine, who manages the shop. We got to meet them last year at Rhinebeck, and so we've been planning this tour ever since then, and it was great to finally get there and to do that. I also got to sit down with Justine and Lori, and they interviewed me on their podcast, The Skein Scoop. So if you want to see that episode is already live. Our tour of Skein Yarn Shop is not going up until like the end of November, I think, but their episode where they interviewed me that day is already out. So definitely go watch that, and subscribe to their channel because they put out a podcast, I think weekly or bi-weekly, and talk about things that are like coming into the shop, what they're knitting on, all of those kinds of things. We then got to meet a couple of customers, Allison and Bethany. I think that was right. Yes. And they gave me, hold on, I want to make sure that I said everyone's name correctly, because they gave me this beautiful card that she made. Yes, Bethany. That's what I thought. So they gave me a couple of fun Rhode Island things that I need to still try. So one of these things is coffee syrup. It is just like, I think this concentrate, it says the official state drink of Rhode Island. It is a concentrate, sugary coffee that you add to milk. So I need to buy some milk because I don't have any right now, and I'm going to try that. So I will share on Instagram when I do. They also gifted me some coffee, some local coffee, and the other one I've already been drinking. It's like an apple one. It's super, super good. It's from Mills, Rhode Island. And then they gave Toaster some little treats. Actually, I'm going to take this one inside for him because he already ate his first one, but we better eat up that second one real quick. And then some little Katrinkles, Rhode Island states. Did you know Katrinkles was in Rhode Island? Because I didn't. So a couple little Rhode Island things. That's not it. You know how I'm always looking for local dyers? Well, there are a couple of Rhode Island dyers, but they've gone out of business. And so one of them is Kin Yarn. And Allison gifted me this from her stash, which I am so grateful for. One, because I now have a Rhode Island yarn to put in my blanket, but two, because I've never gotten to work with Kin Yarn before, and you can't buy this anymore. So I'm like so excited to have this. This color is called Fiona, and I think it's from Shrek, and it's really, really fun. So it says Providence, Rhode Island. And then Lori also let me pick out another Kin Yarn skein. So now I've got two beautiful ones. This one's called Beachcomber, which I thought was perfect for Rhode Island. So now I've got two lovely Rhode Island yarns to add in. I also wanted to get something from the store. Oh, look, here's the Skein Scoop podcast. So cute. And I learned that Kevin and Ray of the Needles at the Ready podcast are dyeing yarn. And I don't know if this is many places yet, like in stores, but they just had a trunk show with them a few weeks ago, so I wanted to get a Needles at the Ready color. This one is called Ocean Jasper. and I just thought it was really pretty. Why don't you want to focus? Why don't you want to show this off? Oh, still doesn't want to. Aha, now you can see it. Again, it just kind of reminded me of like the beach and everything. So I'm so set. Oh, I'm sorry, I have one more. I am like so set for Rhode Island and Needles at the Ready. Shoot, they're in Connecticut, I think. Yeah, I think so. And then I got one more. This is, I don't have a label for it, but I did take a picture. I think it's called Hope Yarn. Hang on, I added it to my favorites so that I won't forget because, yes, it's right here. Hope Made Yarn Company. And this is the Wild Tulip colorway. So this was actually a special colorway that Hope Made Yarn dyed just for Skein Yarn Shop. And somebody was working with it at the table and I was like, wow, that's such a beautiful yarn. And they said, yeah, this is like the special color that she dyed for the shop. But they, of course, had sold out of it like forever ago. I don't remember. It was for a make-along or something. And then another person came to the table a little bit later and she was like, I actually have a whole bunch of extra yarn. Would you like some? So I was able to wind off 20 grams and now I have another special yarn and special colorway. Hope Made Yarn is not in Rhode Island, but nearby. Can't remember if it's Connecticut or Massachusetts, but they are nearby. So I was able to get yet another one. So I walked out of there with a lot of yarn. Too much yarn, but that's okay. I'm so excited. Okay, that's it for Skein Yarn Shop. No, it's not. I am lying. We then stayed for their Wednesday stitch night from 4 to 8. They have one of the largest tables I have ever seen in a yarn shop. Just absolutely massive. Lori actually had it made for the store. I think it had like 14 seats around it or something when it was empty. And then they kept adding chairs so that everyone could sit together so you didn't have to feel separated. And so I don't know how many people were there, at least like 25 or more, but it was great. And so we stayed for their stitch night and then went to dinner at this amazing place just down the street. I can't remember the name of it, but we had oysters, or at least Kent and Lori and Justine had oysters. And then I had this scallop risotto that was one of the best things I've ever eaten. So very excited to be near the water and get to eat seafood. It was very, very yummy. Okay, the next day we went to one more yarn store in Rhode Island. Can't remember which town it's in off the top of my head, but it is called the Mermaid's Pearl. And a lot of people had recommended that to me as well as Skein Yarn Shop. And so I wanted to make sure that I got to see it. Super cute area of town, super cute yarn shop. We actually got to meet the owner, Lizzie, who was there that day. And I didn't know that they dye their own yarn. So Lizzie said they don't always have like a massive stock of it, but they dye yarn when they can. Lizzie herself dyes some of the yarn. They do an advent calendar. They had a bunch of minis and all of their colorways are like beach and ocean or sea themed. And so this one is called Swell, and it's just a really pretty blue color. So I think it's gonna go so nicely. All my like Rhode Island, Connecticut stuff. It's gonna be great. So I'm really excited to have that. She had a bunch of mini skeins. They also had like a really fun base. I think it was a Surrey that had a lot of really beautiful colors with it. Anyway, just a really cute shop. So very excited to go there and very excited to meet Lizzie. Okay, that was a lot about Rhode Island. Let's talk about Connecticut. We actually drove through Connecticut on our way to Rhode Island and we stopped in New Haven to get pizza because that's what we knew about New Haven is it's very famous for New Haven pizza, which to me, I'll describe it and please don't be offended by this, but it is a thin crust, like chewy pizza. That's how I would describe it. Thin crust, chewy. It's not like cracker crust like, Detroit? Who has cracker crust? There's so many types of pizza in this country. It is wild, but that's how I would describe it. And we went to Pepe's. Actually, we still have the box because we haven't found a place to throw it away. Frank Pepe's or something like that. And it was great. The sauce was really good. I enjoyed it. I can't say it's like my favorite type of pizza, but I really thought it was good. And then we ate on it for like days. We had leftovers for days, which was amazing. So that was before we went to Rhode Island. We went to Rhode Island, we turned around, and we came back to Western Connecticut. Beautiful area of the country. We drove through all of these, like not interstate roads, and the leaves are just starting to change. It's really, really pretty, hilly, lots of trees. And we stayed at a place just about a minute away from the yarn store that we were filming at in Connecticut, at a boondocker's welcome, which just means we're basically parked in somebody's land, like on their field, which was wonderful. So we had a really pretty view, nice private space, and very close to the yarn store. We went to Stars Hollow Yarns in Washington, Connecticut. It's in this really cool old building that was originally built in the 1800s. It used to be like a bunch of different things, and we filmed a tour there, so there will be more shared in that tour video, but really, really cool. I think they built like a brand new roof over top of the original roof. So inside you can still see like the original ceiling and roof. Some of the original floors are still in there. It's just a really cool place. What was really special about Stars Hollow Yarns, which is Gilmore Girls inspired, the whole town of New Midford. We've been in a lot of towns. I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to forget them. I know it's important, but the one of the nearby towns, Milford, something like that, is kind of like where they say that Gilmore Girls was inspired. I only just started watching Gilmore Girls. I'm getting into it. I like it. Probably not a super fan yet, but trying to understand it because I knew we were going to Stars Hollow Yarns. But where was I going with that? Oh, yeah. So Lisa, who owns Stars Hollow Yarns, her big thing is bringing in yarns that you may not see other places, and also bringing in yarns that do good for maybe the environment or for the world. So she carries a lot of maybe yarns that might be familiar to you, but then she also had a lot of yarns that I've never seen before. So that was really cool. They also have everything online, and they were shipping. Like as we were there in the morning, they were like gathering orders and shipping. So check out their website and then check out the tour when it comes out later this year, I think in early December. The other thing that was really great about Stars Hollow is they had a whole separate building that they could host their classes and their stitch nights and gatherings in, that also had a patio, which is where we sat that day for the stitch circle and meet and greet because the weather was really nice. And then they also had like more land where they had a circle of Adirondack chairs that you could also sit and gather in, which I thought was really special. Like all these different spaces to enjoy and to sit and to gather. It was wonderful. Okay, I think that's everything until we got to Massachusetts today, which we did go to another yarn store. So of course I have to share that. So this weekend is the Greater Boston Yarn Crawl. There are 14, I believe, stores on that yarn crawl. We are not doing the yarn crawl this weekend. Was not our plan originally. Actually, I didn't even know what weekend we were going to be coming up here, but I definitely don't have it in me to go to 14 yarn stores right now. 3 a week is good for me for right now, but we did want to go and check out at least one additional yarn store from where we're filming our tour at Boston Fiber Company tomorrow. So we went to Craftworks. Andy, the owner, reached out to me and invited us to come by, and I was like, you know what? We're actually going to be driving right by you, so I would love to come and see. So we got to experience a little yarn crawl fun today. They have this cute little bag for the yarn crawl, and my other bag, I don't know where it went. I have another bag somewhere from the store, but they carry a couple of different local yarn dyers. One of them is Milani's Stash. And I believe they said she's just like a couple miles away from the store. And so I love that. This is one of the yarns that was like a special colorway for the store. It's called Snow Squall. And I had to ask what a squall was because, hello, I'm not used to snow growing up in Tennessee and then living in Texas. But I learned that a squall is just like when it just starts snowing like crazy out of nowhere. So tell me if there's more to it than that, but I think that's what it is. They were also giving away these, or not giving away, I'm sorry, for the yarn crawlers, you got this fun little bag, which they so kindly gave to me, even though I'm not an official yarn crawler. So let's see. There's a little soak pack in here, one of those big eye needles for weaving in ends, a cute little shrinky dink stitch marker. What else do we have? Ooh, some Ghirardelli sea salt caramel. This just has a little bit about the store, and then a button. They're in Northborough Craftworks. Oh, there we go. So that's cute. If you're crawling, you might have gotten one of those. The other fun thing they were doing is a little scratch off thing. So you got to scratch off and you might have gotten a discount on your purchase or a little free item. And I got this keychain, which it said keychain, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I didn't realize it was going to be like this huge, awesome keychain from Knitter's Pride that has little fix-it tools on it and cute little animals, which is really nice. So I got that as well, which was really exciting. The cool thing about Craftworks is they are half yarn store and then they're half makers collective. So I'm gonna try to get the story exactly right, but the original Craftworks started in the late 70s and they were downtown. And actually, I don't know if it was downtown in Northborough or downtown in Boston or what downtown means. I'm very new to this part of the country. But it started as a co-op, like a crafters co-op. And so local makers would put things into the co-op and sell them. And then they moved to the location that they're in now in 2011. And it is half yarn store and other fiber related items, like full service yarn store. The other half is all still items that are made in the United States. So local items, local makers, and then, from other surrounding areas. There were quilted things, there were hand knit and crocheted things, there were painted things, there were carved things. So many different fun, crafty items. So if you come along with somebody who's not a knitter or crocheter and not interested in the yarn, there's so many fun things to look at, so many great gift items, and maybe even something for yourself. They also teach a boatload of classes. So from knitting and crochet, spinning and weaving, they were doing like card making and stamping, and then like a bunch of other stuff that I don't even know what it was. So look online for the classes. If you're in the area, you might find something that you are interested in watching. Okay, my camera's telling me I'm talking for too long and it's getting warm. So I will leave you with Massachusetts, 46th state, more to come because we are going out exploring in the next few days. Coming up, we have a new yarn store at Far North Yarn Company in Anchorage, Alaska, that is going to be premiering on the Saturday. What is the Saturday? October 5th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. I think I mentioned it earlier, but if you didn't catch this last week's yarn store tour, we were also in Anchorage, Alaska at Cabin Fever. Far North Yarns and Cabin Fever are both in the Anchorage area, but they're two totally different stores. So I'm excited to show you two places, if you ever visit Alaska, which you totally should, it's amazing, that you can go and visit. The other thing that's coming up in the not too distant future is the Winter Magic sock kits that are going to be going live on Coven Collective's website. It's covencollective.us on Friday, October 11th at 12 p.m. Pacific time or 3 p.m. Eastern time. Because there are a limited number of kits, make sure to set an alarm so you can get there for that. I know they're going to dye as many yarns as they can, make as many bags as they can, but they can only do so much. So if you really want one, make sure you are there on that Friday to grab your kit and everything. Okay, what else is coming up? So I don't have any meetups scheduled at the moment, but the next states we're going to be in are Maine, Vermont, and New Hampshire. Actually, Maine, then New Hampshire, and then Vermont. I don't believe we're going to have anything in Maine or Vermont, but we are looking to schedule something in New Hampshire. So stay tuned. I'll be sharing that next week if I have something scheduled or on my Instagram as soon as possible. I am going to be having a Rhinebeck meetup though. Rhinebeck is coming up October 19th and 20th. So I am going to be there for the podcasters meetup, which is typically at 1 p.m. on the hill, but I'm going to be at the bottom of the hill. That's where I was last year, because that way everyone can get there. So at the bottom of the hill, there's like a big tree. That's kind of a good spot to be. It's like in between the animals that they sometimes have in the coffee place. So that's where I'm planning to be. That way, again, you can get to me no matter if you have, a wheelchair or something like that, I'm there so you don't have to actually go up the hill. So I'm planning to be there from 1 to 2 p.m. I do have to scooch over to another meetup at 2 p.m. If you're a 11 Stitches member, we are going to be having 11 Stitches member meetup at 2 o'clock, and the details of where to meet for that are all in the Discord and everything. So just I'm trying to be very mindful of time this year and get around and try to see things and do things and meet people in different places. So 1 hour there on the hill, and then 2 p.m. I'm going to be going to the Love and Stitches member meetup. But then the rest of the day and on Sunday, I'm just going to be walking around Rhinebeck. So like if you see me, totally cool. Like please come say hi, because I don't want to like miss an opportunity to meet people if you are not able to get there for those meetups. Anything else going on? Oh, I have one new event that I've added to the Yarny Events webpage. That is Sacred Sheep in Portland, Oregon, which is going to be happening November 1st through the 3rd. It looks really fun. Lots of different vendors. You can check that out on the Yarny Events page on nittynatty.com. I also just noticed there's one thing I forgot to share in the travels segment. When we were at Stars Hollow Yarn this past Friday, yesterday, it feels like so long ago, literally yesterday, I also got a little gift of this cute little crocheted heart. And so I actually have a collection of different heart handmade items. I have a felted heart, I have a knitted heart, and now I have a crocheted heart. So I'm probably going to throw some like yarn through it and tie it up somewhere here in the van. But I had that out to share and just completely forgot when I was sharing about Connecticut. Okay, I think that's everything. I'm just making sure that I shared everything today. There was so much to chat about. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!